Hello, thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about how your attachment wounds are actually affecting your chances of finding your dream relationship. And we're going to be talking about it from the perspective of familiarity and how we relate to our family dynamics and how those dynamics impact our romantic relationships. So today we did actually come with questions that we're going to be asking one another. We didn't rehearse anything or jot anything down. It's just strictly going to be from what we think. And so, yeah, do you want to ask the first question?
Yeah. So one of the questions I have is within dating and love, what is it about familiarity that we are drawn to?
Yeah. So as a therapist, right, that is something that comes up so much within sessions with literally all my clients, no matter the age, right? Whether they are 50 years old or 80 years old. I had a client that was 84, right? With her, it came up. And then with my 17-year-old, it came up. And that's, what has your childhood looked like? What did your relationships with your parents look like? What did your parents' relationship with each other look like? And so that is something that we are just drawn to naturally because that's what we need for survival. We need our parents to survive as children. There's no doubt. There's not even it's not even refutable. You can't even, refutable?
Yeah.
You can't even you can't doubt that, right? It's just a truth. Objectively, that we need our parents to survive.
Yeah.
Even baby animals, right? They need their moms, they need their parents to be able to survive.
And so you're saying you bring up your clients because no matter how old you are, the importance of how you attach to your parents is plays out through your entire life. And that familiarity of how our parents took care of us is what we seek in other people.
Yeah, it ends up being this pattern that we're playing out from childhood up until we, and not even with romantically, right? We play that out with our friendships as well. There are things that your friends trigger that remind you of your parents. Why you can't be friends with certain people because they're too similar to your parents. I know I've had those experiences where I'm I can't be friends with this girl because she reminds me of my mom way too much. And it's it gets to a point where it's unattractive, right? And that's nothing to say about my mom. She's great, I love her, but there are things that I can't deal with.
And so that familiarity could be both things that you love in your parents and then things that you don't love, you dislike.
Yeah.
And so
that you don't want to carry over or don't want to continue that same pattern, whether it's I know a lot of, in brown families in particular, there's a lot of gossiping that's always happening, lots of just talking behind people's backs, or just especially with the aunties, there's so much of this happening that it's I don't want to continue that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so my question for you is almost a piggyback off of this question. Why do you think we mirror each other's dynamics? Why do we mirror our parents' dynamics? And then why does that carry over into adulthood and romantic relationships?
Yeah, it's linked to exactly what you were saying, that we look at our parents or we look at our family members and we kind of carry on their responses to things. I think if you can think of carrying a baby and then the baby does something and then they see the reaction of the person who's holding them, and that is maybe the first sign of oh, my parents, my caretakers respond this way to when I'm sad or when I'm happy, and then that becomes you believe that is the natural or normal default for how happiness or sadness should be responded to. And so I think we then take that for ourselves. So whenever we are met with anger or sadness from someone else, I think automatically it's wired in very, very early on that this is how you should react to that certain emotion. And so I don't even think it's a conscious thing. It's not something that we think about when someone is angry, I should be like this. But it's just, you see it through observation. And so I think a lot of it is subconscious for sure.
is it possible for people to break those patterns? So let's say in this example where you're a baby, you're a child, you kind of grow up with this like anger is not allowed, sadness is not allowed. And then which I think a lot of men are actually socialized to kind of have this like persona of like I can't express these emotions. And at least for women, like we'll just talk and talk and talk and talk our heads off, right? So I the question is essentially like when people want to break that pattern, that let's say they're aware of it, one, is it possible, and then how can that be sustained through time?
Yeah, I definitely think it's possible. Anything that is behavioral, we can change as long as, like you said, you become aware of it. That's the number one step. And then number two is kind of understanding why it has served you in the past. So going back to that childhood stuff, like why do you shut down when you're angry, or why do you isolate whenever you're sad, or something like that? Like how did that protect you from hurt in the past? And so when you realize that like you've been doing that your entire life because of maybe a couple of situations that happened as a child, I think you realize that like, okay, this thing's not serving me anymore. Like maybe whenever I'm sad, I'm self-isolating, and so I don't actually reach out to anyone. I like lose relationships because I just like ghost people for a month, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because we watched Indian matchmaking last night, and that exact thing came up where the girl she really liked this guy. She was really like attracted to him. The first few dates went really well, and he was showing a lot of like love for her, and just kind of outwardly like, I like you, I want this to work, like just all validating statements, right? She thought he was attractive. Things were all just like going well. But then she started to feel this overwhelming feeling of like, oh my God, this is like too much. It's too much. And so she decided, I think she could have gone that route of like, I might actually cut this off. But she went to see my auntie, and she was just like, hey, like, this is what the situation is. He's great, but I'm overwhelmed. And she was like, what's the problem? You like him. He likes you. Talk to him. Communicate with him. And it took that for them to get to that point of communicating. And then she's like, oh my God, I like wanted someone vulnerable this whole time, but then I got that person and it was too much.
Yeah. And it was interesting because after she had that difficult conversation with him, she said that was the first time she's ever done that. And she was in a relationship for 11 years.
Yeah. And married.
Like, and married. Yeah. Married. And it took her to just realize that like, oh my gosh, I like him, and that's why I'm doing this. Like I'm overwhelmed, and so I kind of have to break that pattern of cutting things off as soon as I feel like things are getting a little bit intimate.
Yeah, or even just different, unfamiliar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like maybe her parents were not as willing, or she didn't feel comfortable to be vulnerable with her parents. For whatever reason, and that's often the case for many people, for many cultures, right? We feel this like, I don't want to burden my parents with even more stuff. They're already going through so much. They're dealing with so much. I can't keep doing this. I can't, I don't want to do this. So we kind of, that's again, like you said, protective mechanism. It's like we're learning through this like almost subconscious conditioning that I can't go to my parents when I'm mad, sad, upset. I just have to deal with it in my own way. And then you carry that over into relationships.
Yeah. And as children, you don't just limit it to your parents. You take it to everybody. Oh, this is just the way it works. This is the world. Sadness is like not accepted. Nobody wants to hear about my hardships. And so you just carry that like this naive truth, like belief that is actually not true. Like if you have friends, if you have family members like outside of parents, or maybe it was just your parents that particular day were having a bad day, and then we just internalize it as children. And yeah, like to your question of how can we change that, she found someone who was safe in that regard. She found someone who, she took the risk. She was courageous. She was brave. She took that risk, and like I'm glad that he was someone who could carry that for her. Because now she knows that like, oh, I can talk about my feelings openly, and he didn't explode on me, or he didn't dismiss me or shut me down. So
I think the important distinction here, ladies, is that this has to be with a safe man. Like it has to be with a safe man. Like you cannot just go and like, definitely wouldn't recommend being that outwardly vulnerable with someone that is emotionally abusive, toxic. And I know that word gets thrown around a lot, but just someone that you know in your heart, deep down, that he is going to dismiss what you're saying. Right?
Yeah.
Like, and oftentimes we go for those people in the beginning because we think that's all we can get. And so it's just like, well, my parents were like that, so that's my norm. It's my normal. So I'm going to continue going with that route. Yeah. But that's not, just because it's normalized doesn't mean it's healthy. Doesn't mean it's going to protect your inner child. Doesn't mean that it's going to be okay for you. Yeah. And so that's the important distinction here, is that if she didn't feel completely safe with him, or at least like if she didn't feel that sense of like, oh, I can open up and he will receive me, she wouldn't have done it. Yeah. Right. And if she would have done it, it would have probably gone sideways pretty quickly. Yeah.
And it goes back to that commitment piece, that like, if you're trying to open up to someone, a man who's not really committed to you, he will most likely dismiss you, because it's like, he's not really committed to sit through these difficult conversations with you. Yeah. And in the show, like, you could tell that this guy really, really wanted just her. Like he wasn't just there going with the flow. He was very direct with what he wanted.
Yeah. I mean, it's matchmaking. Literally, it's like, you're not just showing up for no reason. It's like you're intentional with it, as opposed to if you're in college and you're dating a guy who's 19, 20 years old, and you're just like, okay, well, I met him at a bar. I met him in these random situations. I met him through a friend, and we're all just hanging out. But that's like, there's nothing really like set in stone. Like, he wants a long-term committed relationship, a marriage. He wants to like do this thing with me, right? That's kind of like a felt sense. You get to know that. That's the reality.
Yeah, and without that intention, like you said, if it's just this like,
going with the flow.
Go with the flow, laissez-faire, like relaxed, casual settings, and you become attracted to someone, maybe it's because they are familiar. Yeah. And that, not because they have the intention of a committed relationship or anything. Yeah. And so it just makes it so much more like probabilistic that you're just going to connect with someone because it was convenient. Yeah. Or familiar or comfortable.
Familiar. So, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Do you have any burning questions that you wanted to ask?
Yeah, I wanted to get a little bit personal. So how did familiarity appear in your search for love? And then how did you gain awareness of it?
Yeah, the memory that's coming to mind right now is in my like courting, vetting for marriage portion for like the year before I met you. I was talking to someone who really like triggered me like quite badly, but he triggered me and I felt unsafe with him. And so I knew he like wanted to get married and I wanted to get married, but I felt like he wasn't at a stage in his life where he was ready to get married. Like living with his mom, and nothing wrong with that, but it was just like a lot was happening in his life. I don't want to go too deep in his details, but it felt like I didn't feel safe enough just in that regard. And because of that, I couldn't fully open up. And when I did open up, it was almost this like argumentative response. It wasn't I hear you, I'm listening to your concerns, I understand where you're coming from. It was just kind of like this argument. And I remember this so clearly. It was my second to last year of grad school, and I remember like I had class the next day and we were talking on the phone, and I forgot what the conversation was about, and I remember his response to my concern was just this like, again, argumentative, denial, kind of this like, well, how could you think that's the case? How is that true? Give me reasons, give me pointers, like give me examples. And I remember just being like, what the heck? Like, but I'm trying to muster up the examples at the same time because I'm just like, okay, I have to like come up with something. But the reality was I was feeling deeply, deeply unsafe, deeply, deeply like unmet, not cared for, not respected, right? Because my feelings are valid. And if I had known that myself, then I would have just completely been like, I'm done. And I remember we had talked on the phone till like 12 a.m., like super, super late. Again, I had school like the next morning. And even when I said like, hey, I can't talk anymore, I need a second, like we'll talk tomorrow. Still, it was an argument of like, why are we ending the phone call like this? I want to end on good terms. And so I remember just being like, what the heck? Like, no, I can't. And so I get this like long text the next day. And it's this like long thing of like, I don't like to end the conversation like this, like all this stuff, right? And that is like the example that sticks out is that was familiar. That was familiar to me.
Familiar to who? Like, who did it remind you of?
My parents, bickering between them, like maybe back and forth. Who gets the last word type of energy, like
we don't finish this conversation until I say it.
Like it's this like one-upping each other. And I think I was subconsciously doing that, and like there was no commitment here. It was just kind of in the talking phase. Red flag, major red flag. Like didn't even see this person in person at that point. And it just was like major red flag. Like, why are we arguing? And it's like, we're just getting to know each other. It was very, that's the example that really, really sticks out.
It's good. That's a good one. Like,
like, it wasn't fun at the time, but like,
No, I can imagine that like, you find yourself talking for I don't know how many hours. Like, why am I even talking to this person anymore? What am I getting out of this? Oh, it's like a pattern that I've seen play out many times.
Exactly. But obviously when you're not conscious, you don't realize that. And now if it had happened, or if it happened towards the later like 5-6 months of that period of my life, it would have been like, okay, bye. Like blocked, like this is not a good fit, sorry, like I hope you find the person that's meant for you. That would have been the end of that, right? But it's like, as women, we need our nervous systems to heal. Like in order to get to that point of like, I can't deal with this, I'm choosing willingly, I'm not going through with this. Our nervous system has to be at a certain point. It cannot be like back here where you're like, I'm going to continue entertaining this.
Yeah, it's probably because your nervous system, it's like its default. Like when that situation happens, when someone says, oh, prove it, like give me an example, your body, instead of like having the awareness of like, oh, this makes me feel this way, like I don't want this, you kind of go into it because that's all you've seen or that's all you've known.
And something I've been noticing in several of my clients lately is that they keep talking about this drop in their stomach. It's just like, whew. Like the only way I can explain it is it's just like you know, if you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. It's a drop in your stomach. But that drop in your stomach is connected to your past, right? It's connected to your childhood. You got that drop in your stomach. It's familiar. It's addictive. It gets to a point where it's literally addictive. It ties to something. And so you're thinking about that. It's almost like a nostalgic feeling. And you go through with it. You just continue with that cycle again and again. And this can be repetitive in different relationships. So it's almost like you're seeing the same person, or you're talking to the same person in different forms, in different bodies. And so many women experience this, right? Like it takes the awareness to be like, I'm going through the same thing. Why is he the same exact person? What the heck?
You're playing out the same patterns with different people. It's like just different.
But really it's like your dad, or it's like your mom.
Exactly.
It's these people that, it exists.
And if we go deep into like the inner child stuff, what you're trying to do really at a subconscious level is resolve that conflict with your dad or with your mom,
Exactly.
That's like, you go back to that inner child of of yourself, like that past memory. And what you're trying to do when you're arguing with this guy or whatever the pattern is fixing how your parents reacted to you. And it's not going to work if you continue to find people who play out those same patterns and don't have the awareness.
Yeah.
And again, like we mentioned with the Indian matchmaking, she broke that pattern through finding someone who was actually
safe enough
and had the awareness as well.
Yeah. And the courage.
Yeah.
The courage. Yeah. To say, like, I'm not going to continue this. I'm going to do the difficult thing, which is be vulnerable. Again, like, it's so imperative that you are doing this with a safe man and not just anyone, right? Like, not just any Joe Schmo, like whoever just is like available to you, the college guy or whatever. Like, he's not going to be the one that you do this with, unless he's very aware and conscious and safe and a great person, right? That might be different, but the reality is, like, not that guy that you're meeting in some random spot who's not actually ready for marriage, right? It's someone that you are fully aware that he wants the same things as you. This kind of relates to my question, which is, can two people from very different family backgrounds make their relationship work because of their different, like, upbringings and their attachment styles?
Yeah, I mean, given that we came from very different upbringings and cultural backgrounds and stuff, I think it was something that we became aware of very early on. And I think for me, what I noticed was that the exact things that you had were what I needed to get over, or or the things that triggered me from you, or the things that I triggered in you were the things that we needed to heal from. And so because you came from a different upbringing and culture, I feel like that awareness was like slapped across my face. Like it was just, it wasn't masked by cultural norms or expectations or anything like that. But it was really like, oh wow, you do it that way? Like, what does that mean about me and how I've been doing it? And so,
give me an example.
Like how we process things. Like when we were disagreeing about something, or when there was conflict, you needed space, you needed time, you needed like time to process it, where I was like, no, like, let's talk it out, like, let's talk about it right now. And it's because my family is very when there's conflict, we work on it, we talk about it for hours until something happens, until either everyone's exhausted and no one wants to talk about it anymore, or someone gets the last laugh, or someone got that gotcha moment, or whatever. And it's just this like constant, like, hey, we have conflict, we need to talk about it at all times. And not maybe it's not even about this conflict, but it was about all the other conflicts that happened in the past, and things are just constantly brought up. And so when you were like, actually, I need to think about this, I was like standing there, like, obviously this was over text or call, but I was like metaphorically standing there like, okay, what do I do now? Like, what do I do with myself? And so
sit with it.
Just sit with it. I can't do anything. I have to reflect. I have to think about it. And that is a way to change my pattern of conflict resolution. And so you could, and you could totally come from different cultures, but still have the same way of processing things. Like, I don't think it's mutually exclusive, like you have one or the other. But I think when you come from different cultures, it's more likely that the way your family operates, the way that certain emotions are portrayed or received or accepted will be different. And so I think it could be a really good thing if you're up for the challenge.
And then, so to be a little bit more specific, like, let's say there's two different attachment styles, right? Anxious, avoidant, which constantly, like, we hear about that. What is that possible to make that work?
Yeah, I think it's possible.
What do both people need in order for it to work?
The willingness to work it out. I think a lot of the time people will be like, oh, they are just avoidant and I'm anxious, this isn't going to work. Like, this is a toxic relationship. Okay, we just drop it, or whatever. Like, the labeling helps just to find awareness, but it's not a prescription that like, oh, because I'm anxious and you're avoidant, this is never going to work. So there needs to be like a willingness for it to you want it to work. And then I think the second most important thing is to not antagonize the other person. That like, oh, they're just toxic, they're just abusive, they're a narcissist. Okay, this, like, I am an angel, like I did all that I could and it's not going to work out because they're just whatever. As soon as you start to approach it with curiosity, which is what we talked a lot about in the first couple months, was just having that curiosity of like, why do you need space? Or like, for me, why do I need to talk about it so much? Like, what is it about that is the way we are? And through that relationship, through the avoidant and anxious attachment style, you start to like find a middle ground where I think it becomes a lot more secure. Because when an anxious is with an avoidant, the anxious has to learn how to be with themselves. And then the avoidant has to learn how to be vulnerable.
Yeah, be open.
And if you don't do that, you're never going to be secure, no matter what.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a good point. We have time for maybe one more question.
Yeah, let's do this one. So what aspect of familiarity did I have that you liked? Because familiarity it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
It could be something that like, my dad was really great at this and I want a man who's like that too.
Yeah, I think the like taking care of piece, like I felt like that was so innate in you, and that was so innate in my older brother, who like I love to death. He was my one like very, very secure attachment figure. He had this like vibe of like, it's okay, everything will be okay, and we will get through this, and I will take care of you, we'll take care of this together. So it just felt very like complete to meet you and to feel so safe in your presence. And that's the one thing, like I remember before I got married, a few months before, my girls, like my friends asking me like, what, like how did you know, he's the one, how did you know you're gonna get married to him? And I just say like safety, like I felt like so safe, and that was familiar to me through like having my brother in my life. I knew that like if anything were to go wrong, I could always rely on my brother, I could always rely on my dad, if like God forbid anything had gone wrong. And so I would say that was like the main thing. The extra bonus was that there was emotional safety. There was like this like, I will take care of you, like take care of your emotions as well. And that is something, it was like a little bit foreign to me. Like I had it from my brother, definitely growing up, but then he got married when I was like 11 or so, and it had like completely left my like my life.
So it was something that was familiar but not present at that moment.
Like not like consistent throughout my life. And so I kind of like had an idea, but it wasn't like a full idea. And that got kind of like brought back into the picture when we talked and we got to know each other. I think the really big like kind of like red flag that I would the advice that I would give, I think that was one of your questions too.
Yeah. What would you advise women who continue to attract men that are not good for them? Yeah,
conflict resolution. Like really, really be aware of how you as a woman handle conflict, and then be able to recognize like, this is my pattern based on my attachment patterns, based on my parents, based on my upbringing, and know that it doesn't have to be permanent. Your attachment style isn't fixed. Like no one says that it's a fixed way of being. Coming from a literal psychotherapist, like it's not the reality. You can at any point decide differently for yourself, and it's not going to be easy. It's not easy at all. Like I know it's not easy at all.
It's a lifelong
struggle thing, yeah. It literally sometimes feels like I'm like despising it, like I don't want to tell him this, but like I need to tell him this. And that is you being courageous in that, knowing where it comes from, is huge. And not only that, but obviously you see it in you recognize it in someone else, like they're doing the hard thing too. And if they're not able to handle conflict, then you know that's not your person, right? That's not the person that is meant for you. And so definitely that's a really, really big one. It's like conflict resolution. safety, like what does safety feel like in my own body, and what does that look like in a man, in someone else. And so yeah, that's pretty
Cool.
much it. Thanks for tuning in. We will be talking about something really interesting next video, and it's going to be on your feminine cycle. So, your 4 phases of your cycle as a woman and how it impacts your relationship, your marriage, your dating, all of that. So, stay tuned for that. Bye.